one movie where I played a trans gender person. And that's the only thing that's on Mr. Skin is me coming out of the tub. And at the time I was training for a marathon, so I was really skinny. It's
So you happy about that? That the only thing?
I don't know. It just wasn't. It wasn't.
Well, I mean, you're not happy about it in terms of from a journalistic standpoint.
I don't care. I mean, I've never done stuff like that. I've always been a comedian. So
I do believe.
I'm always sort of
But see, I have always been comedian, magician, and I have been naked on stage, television, and film.
Yes. When were you naked on?
I'll tell you.
Let's talk. I want to hear all three.
If you look at a list of breakthroughs in nudity in Las Vegas.
Okay.
First topless performer in a major hotel in Las Vegas was Carol Doda.
Okay.
Was one of the first to get implants. She had a theater called the Condor in San Francisco. Okay. And then the first full frontal nude on stage in Vegas was Marilyn Chambers. Remember the Ivory Snow girl? She was on the cover of Ivory Snow, and then she became a porn actor. And the first full frontal male nude is tied for two people simultaneously, which was Penn and Teller. And you look at that
and go... When did
you
do that? Was it a live show?
It was a live show.
Was it a Penn and Teller show?
Yes, it was. We did a trick.
Did you have because I was at the show last night. Were there children? Were there
What we were doing was entirely illegal, and we were told by the police that we're not going to arrest you until there's a complaint, but then we will. Okay. And I said, I just think it's so funny that those who've been busted for being naked on stage would be Jim Morrison, Iggy Pop, Penn and Teller.
I like it.
So you see that list and go on. So what we did was we had a gag where it's a joke I've always wanted to do, and we finally did it, and it was the end of our show. I said, we're going to do a bit that's pure magic, and magicians, people often think you have things up your sleeves. So we want to make sure there's nothing up our sleeves. So we took our shirts off. And then we said, but you could hide something, I suppose, in your shoes. We took our shoes off. Or maybe in your pants. You could do that. We took our pants off. We were standing there in boxer shorts and T-shirts. And then we would get two people up from the audience.
Sure.
And this took us a long time to figure out who. Because we were going to take all our clothes off with a person to examine us.
Right.
And the line was check under little Houdini. And we would lift up our balls, and they would check everything, make sure nothing was hidden on us.
This is just someone from the audience?
Two
You had to plant people, though.
No.
This is just random people.
Right. And we
did it sign any kind of disclosure?
No, we did this thing. It was really something we had to learn. We thought that getting a man and a woman up would be the right thing. And we found if we got a woman up who was between 25 and 40, 50, that the reaction we got from them was just, they'd sometimes reach down and grab our cock and balls. And be no surprise at all, just a smile, just like, oh, that's nice. And
wait, when was this?
This was in the 90s.
Okay, sure. Okay, that makes sense.
And we didn't get any sort of reaction. So, because, a woman who is sexually active and doesn't mind anybody knowing that is not going to go, oh dear. So we found that the best reaction we go, and we also didn't want to go below 25 because it's just
it gets
so
a little creepy. Yeah,
we didn't even consider that. But what we found was a man about 20 or 21, you get reactions like you would not believe when you take off your boxer shorts and say, check under here. And we did a show at Universal Studios for Halloween. And the audience, it may be the bravest thing I've ever seen a person do. We had an audience that had there was extra security in because there was a lot of gangbangers in. Sure. It was a 1 a.m. show, Universal Studios, Southern California, right around Halloween. And they were a rough crowd. And Teller went into the audience to pick the people. He picked them, not me. And he picked a hardcore gangbanger, brought him up on stage, and then I took off my pants for him. And this guy was posing and doing all this stuff, and really a lot of attitude. The attitude drained out of him. He was just no. There's nothing hidden.
Did he touch it?
He didn't touch us.
Okay. He just was like,
shot.
I can't.
And then we would get he was just
traumatized.
He was paralyzed.
He shot Penn's penis.
And
Just
then-
took out a gun and shot his penis.
And then the other person you would get a woman over 60. And then you would get a nice reaction from her. Whatever the reaction was would be terrific. If she smiled and was happy, if she was scandalized, it was great. And then we would put on like basketball T-shirts that came down just below our cocks. And then we would produce, we produced about 15 liters of blood, which we covered over ourselves. So out barehanded, after being examined, we...
Up until this point, Missy had no anticipation of a magic trick whatsoever. She just thought you guys ended your show by getting naked in front of people, checking you out. Good night, everybody.
And then we would produce...
Plenty of shows do that.
You'd produce... Wait, what does that mean?
Every other stripper show does just that,
Produce
Matt.
blood.
Made to appear.
Oh,
magically.
It just magically
So we would
appeared.
hold our hands up and just blood would flow out of us, out of our hands. Stigmata. At the end...
And you could do this stigmata every day.
Yeah, but we weren't. It wasn't
Had to be
real.
naked.
It wasn't
real?
It wasn't real blood. No.
You allowed to say that?
15 liters of blood.
Well, what
would
was
be
it if it
too
wasn't
much.
real blood?
Well, it was a different formula for each thing, different tricks. Because if it's going to go in your eyes, you can't use shampoo.
Okay.
If it's going to go on other parts of your body, you want some shampoo in there to give it detergent so you can clean it off.
Yeah.
But while doing this trick every night, Teller and I were permanently dyed slightly pink, and we were constantly breaking out in rashes all over. Very attractive.
So you would get naked with a huge rash on your body.
Yeah, and then we would be covered.
You want him to tell it slower, Missy?
Yes. Can we turn the lights out?
We'd be wearing these like white oversized T-shirts with the sleeves cut out. They were just dresses, really, that came just below our
White oversized T-shirts with the what's cut out?
with the arms cut out.
Okay.
Big, wide open arms.
Okay.
So there was doing nothing hidden, and the audience members had to examine those. And then it was Teller was it was the end of Greek tragedy where you tear the protagonist apart. Right, that was the end of our show. So we wanted to be completely, for the cathartic experience, completely destroyed and covered with blood. So our hair was covered with blood, our face covered with blood, and then these white outfits, all red and dripping. And the image from Carrie is what it really was, the image from Carrie. And then because we always sign autographs after the show, we would run out after the show and stand there. Dripping
with blood
and nearly naked.
Still mostly just
And
covering
then-
the edge of the balls
Just,
and the tip.
that tip
Just covered by the shirt.
Tip went lower than the balls, just in my particular case.
Oh, right, of course.
Jealous.
Just so you know. And
I don't know. My silicone.
Yeah, I know.
and
Great.
for autographs, it became very easy because people would hold out their programs, and I would slap the blood on my hand and give them a full handprint on, which incidentally are going for a lot on eBay.
Sure.
But people would come up and hug and grab and get covered with blood. And Bally's, we were playing the Celebrity Room at Bally's, which is where Sinatra would be played the next week, which is really funny. And Bally's, because we sold out and did well, they accepted it. But other people, you book them and you complain, well, they trashed the bar, or there were hookers up in their rooms, or there's cocaine. Penn and Teller, you complained that there was red dye and glucose all over everything, because the posters of Liza Minnelli would be covered with blood-stained hands. The rugs had blood on them. So they had these huge cleaning. So it actually cost more to have Penn and Teller in there, not because of the liquor backstage,
Right.
because there was just blood and everything.
I don't know if Sinatra was playing there, whether they didn't have to get blood out of carpets after.
Yeah, let's
After
be
he played.
honest. It's a different kind.
I think they probably were thankful, oh, this one has shampoo in it.